All right, page 159, The Practice of Prelates, William Tindale. The Practice of Prelates, whether the king's grace may be separated from his queen because she was his brother's wife, Marbock. In the year of our Lord, 1548, Practice of Prelates, compiled by the faithful and godly learned man, William Tindale, printed at London by Anthony Scolucker and William Series, Delinge without Templar bar in the Savoy Rents, anno 1548, cum publicio ad imprendium solum. The practice of papistical prelates made by William Tindale in the year of our Lord 1530. Introductory notice. The earliest known production of Tindale belonging to the class properly styled polemical was the practice of Prelates. It issued from Hans Luft's press at Marburg in 1530, and the editor has collated a copy of the first edition with the text of an edition published in the reign of Edward VI by a Scolucker and Series, and with that of Day's Folio reprint of Tindale, edited for him by Fox in the reign of Elizabeth. As the prelates whose conduct Tindale intended to expose were indisputably those of the Church of Rome, it was thought proper to mark this in an edition issued after the establishment of a Protestant prelacy, especially when that prelacy had begun to be assailed by men who might be tempted to cite Tyndale's words as meant to condemn any inequality of ranks amongst the presbyters of the Christian Church. Hence, in Day's reprint, this treatise is called The Practice of Papistical Prelates, and its running title at the head of Day's pages is The Practice of Popish Prelates. But besides this unimportant alteration, there are considerable suppressions in both of the old reprints. For when its author was composing this treatise, it was notorious that Henry VIII was bent on having his marriage with Katherine of Aragon dissolved as unlawful, and Tindale, thinking that the king's popish prelates had installed needless scruples into his breast for treacherous ends, announced in the original title page that the question of the lawfulness of putting her away was therein considered, and towards the close of the treatise he contended at some length that it was neither necessary nor right to deny that Catherine was the king's lawful wife, as the English reformers were eventually well nigh unanimous in holding the contrary opinion. Scolucker and Series omitted every passage which bore upon this question to make their edition more acceptable to their Protestant customers, and as Day and Fox must have felt that arguments tending to prove the validity of Catherine's marriage must also tend to prove that it was not lawful for Henry to marry Anne Boleyn, and consequently made the legitimacy of Elizabeth's birth a disputable point, their attachment to their Protestant sovereign naturally led them to continue like the suppressions, though they did not carry their caution to quite the same extent. The Parker Society cannot follow the example of these editors, for whilst it only produces the works of such writers as appear to its counsel to have been faithful expositors of scriptural truths, it does not desire to have them regarded as infallible teachers. Its principle is to issue honest reprints of such works as it selects for republication, leaving it to its readers to compare what is written with the law and the testimony, the test which it was the glory of the reformers to have restored to its due authority. In the present instance, suppression could not have co-signed to oblivion what may be objectable, for the practice of prelates was reprinted entire but a few years ago in the Reverend T. Russell's edition of Tyndale's works, and respectable historians would have been unjustly made liable to the suspicion of being either culpably heedless or dishonest if a treatise to which they have referred had been republished as correct after the excision of passages which they have quoted. Usually don't like reading introductions. I just like to read what they're talking about, like the meat of stuff. I didn't realize that. That's all I'm doing then. I'll start that